Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to share with our audience a little bit more about self-directed IRAs. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so thank you again, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll do a group hug over the podcast here. But yes, so self-directed IRAs, are the thing that's been around forever. Our team here is a specialized trust company. All right, so that is our specialty, pun intended. That is our expert area. So for anyone that is looking to diversify, that's where we help empower you through education, how to take control of those finances. And that's how Steph and I originally connected, right? Was that diversification conversation. So
Exactly.
we thought we'd bring it to everybody here today.
Awesome. So let's dive into what is the main difference or main differences between a regular IRA like Fidelity or Vanguard, which I just left because they're so evil, as we all know, and a self-directed IRA.
Yes. So this is one of my favorites. So when you're at some of those, evil type big box companies, they will give you that old pat on the back stuff and say, "Oh, Steph, you can go and pick your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds yourself," and give you that little punch at a girl. And it's like that is not true self-direction, everyone. And I say this with love because I hear this weekly. "Oh, Amanda, I logged into my account and it says self-directed right here on the screen." That's not true self-direction, everyone. Picking your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds yourself is not true self-direction. So to do true self-direction means to invest in what you know. And it's the same types of vehicles that you've come accustomed to: Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, 401ks, health savings accounts, right? Same ones you see over there. Except when you shift over here, now you can invest in what you know. So instead of picking your little, toys out of that sandbox called stocks, bonds, mutual funds, we give you the whole playground. So if you see opportunities to participate in a big commercial deal, be a private money lender, own a rental property inside your retirement account versus the stock market, that's what self-direction is. And do you know how long these have been around, Steph?
A while.
Yeah, since the 70s. And that's always the knee-jerk reaction I get. "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, how come no one in my professional roundtables ever told me about this?" And a lot of times, guess what it comes down to? And if you can't see me, I'm making the greed money sign with my hands. It all comes down to money. A lot of those institutions, they don't get paid when you do an account and you invest in, opportunities in your backyard, when you put money on Main Street versus Wall Street. So that's the big, diff, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So besides real estate, can we invest in other assets besides
Oh,
real estate and stocks?
absolutely. Absolutely. So it's almost Pandora's box, right? Our good buddies at the IRS, how the code's written, they don't tell you, "Oh, here are all the beautiful things you can do to take advantage of our tax code." They tell you what you cannot do. So as long as you're not violating one of these cardinal rules: self-dealing, which is, you're buying something you already own, doing business with anyone up and down your family tree. So parents, grandparents, spouse, children, off limits. If they branch off, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, they're okay.
Okay.
Your siblings can fund your deals. You can fund your siblings' deals. Or stock of a subchapter S company, life insurance. There's certain things like collectibles, artwork cannot be
Oh,
held. So
oh,
now that we've covered, it cannot. So no artwork, no collectibles. So everything you can think of outside of that short list is doable. So tax liens, private lending, precious metals, oil and gas, timber. I have brothers down west of Fort Worth. They breed cattle in their retirement account because it's what they know, right? I don't know about you, Steph. Are you breeding cattle on the side and I don't know about it?
not
No,
yet.
not yet. See, I love how she leaves it open. Like that's something I'd explore. But yeah, you are not limited. Real estate, guys, it's one of those three basic needs of every human on the planet, right? So that is the one that you do hear most common, but there's a million different ways you can participate in real estate. It's not just the, oh, I watched HGTV and I want to flip houses. It's not just that. It's like, oh, I don't like that. I want to be passive. I want to be the bank. You can do that. So those are, that's where it gets fun. Each day is different. Every problem is a different one to solve. That's what makes it, it makes it exciting.
Exactly. So is there a difference in the benefits from a W-2 employee's perspective to a business owner's perspective, all the way to a real estate professional perspective on how they can use a self-directed IRA and how they benefit from it?
So the overarching benefit for all three of those categories is you're able to generate tax deferred and tax-free profits by investing in what you know. Those three categories will qualify for different types of accounts. Let's say, I'll paint for you the avatar that we see, like the two main
Perfect.
avatars for those. So it's usually someone that's in W-2 world. They typically have and I'm going to use a slang term here, a side hustle LLC. They have multiple revenue streams coming in. So that is like our typical, I'll say one category of the avatar of someone that is using self-direction. The other is someone that is a full-time entrepreneur, whether they're in real estate or not. Real estate professional, that's more of a tax status. That's my real estate professionals love self-direction for that reason. But when it comes down to, W-2 world versus full-time entrepreneur, or even having a side hustle company, it really is, it's the line in the sand between the two like categories of accounts you can do. There's personal and there's business. If someone, even children, I'll touch on that later, but if you have a heartbeat, some earned income, and a social security number, you can do an IRA. One cannot just wake up and say, oh, it's a bright, shiny morning, I want a 401k today. You have to have a business that's earning income. Okay. Those are the two. Is that simplify it, kind of the line in the sand? Because that is a question we hear daily, is the difference between the two.
So for the kids, what would be the benefit if they're not working to have a self-directed IRA?
Sure. So for kids as entrepreneurs, so this is where, because you have to have the earned income to do a Roth IRA. Okay. And that's the one I'm talking about, guys. And if you're not familiar with why I'm stressing Roth, is you pay the tax on the seed and not the crop. Okay, so Uncle Sam gets his piece of the pie when it's little, not when it's big. So it grows, and you can say this after I say it, and you'll be smiling too, tax free. Right? Everybody's doing it in their cars, but it's tax free, because you smile, right? That's the power of the Roth. So if we can set our children up in a vehicle that grows tax free forever, why would we not do that? So that's why Roths are very popular for kids. Do you ever play with the compounding interest calculator? Or am I like the only nerd? Okay. I'm glad we're in good company today. Well, when you have compounding interest over time in a tax-free vehicle, I mean, if you start this for a younger child, and that account could, sadly do poorly over that amount of time, and they'll still be millionaires, you guys, by the time they're 59 and a half. Yeah, so that's where, like, us as a firm, we take a very strong stance on, we want to see Roth IRAs for children, So I have a question for you, because this may be something you've been exposed to. How do you think that most of these entrepreneurs are paying their kids that are not 18 yet?
I know that there is a way to pay them as an employee of your company, up to a certain limit.
Correct. And this is where, like, for our real estate professionals and those that have the, side hustle entities, they're compensating their children, via 1099 most of the time, so that they have that earned income, that equals or exceeds the 6,500 you can put in a Roth. It does cap out, just under 13K for a minor. but does that help the business owner out on their taxes? The parent? Heck yeah, it does. I mean, it's like win, 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 but these are just some of the more, I know we wanted to keep it very basic today, but I think when people think retirement accounts, they get focused on just themselves and don't look at the big picture, right? Like, how can we get all of this working together, so that it's working smarter, not harder, right?
So let's clarify for the children. The parents have the company and they are the ones paying the kids. There is a limit of 13,000 per year or forever?
Of the max the IRS will allow you to pay a minor.
Per year, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So they can put the entire 13K in the Roth IRA?
6,500 is where we're limited. So
Okay.
the same limit that's for us, it's the same limit for our kids. When you turn over 50, they'll give you $1,000 raise. It goes up to 7,500. I know. Whoop. But
so I'm trying to do, the math in my head, 6,500 a year, and there are fees associated with it, right? So you need to make sure that you are paying less in fees than what you're receiving from the IRA yearly.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll touch on that because I think that's one of those things that you think like, oh, well, what do self-directed accounts cost? And I'll touch on it for kids as well as for adults. So for kids, we believe in this so much. Our Roth IRAs renew at $50 a year. So if you can't make more than $50 a year, there's another conversation that needs to be had. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we make that, when I say our firm is very, we're very passionate about, tax-free for kids. We put our money where our mouth is, but even for adults, I work with fee-based advisors all the time that, they recommend non-traditional assets for their clients. And they have to use this platform to be able to do it tax sheltered. Like the IRS mandates that, so as far as like the fees for an IRA, not to get in the nitty gritty, but you're always looking at like around the 1.5% mark, when you're like right around or under that 100K. As it increases, like a $300,000 account is less than 0.5%. And why I mention the fee-based advisors is because they put their fee on top of our fee, and the investment still pays for it. And they get the rock star, service, the red carpet treatment, and it's not time off of that advisor's plate. But the cool thing about self-direct, it's the deal creation, right? I mean, like when you are the bank, like I'll use private lending as an example. Is that a fair one for your audience? Like being the bank and lending on a deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're the bank. When someone strolls into a bank, they want to borrow money. Who holds the cards? Who's calling the shots? The borrower or the bank?
The bank.
The bank. What does a bank charge everybody?
Let's say a point.
Yeah, a point. Sometimes there's origination fees or a lending fee, a processing fee. What is stopping you from doing that per deal? Nothing at all. So for example, like with, how do you get kids accounts to grow when you're lending someone, say 100,000 and your child may only have 5,000 in their account? Well, there's nothing stopping you from partnering those accounts together, and then charging a lending fee or a couple points to be able to cover the cost of the account A. But two, in partnering it together, we'll say with mama's 401k, even though it's 5% and 95%, and you're earning, let's say, 12% return, 15% return, so is your little one. Mm-hmm. And they're earning it tax-free, So that's the creative forethought that we that's why I said it's fun. Like every problem, it's a different puzzle. I know I sound like a big nerd. I'm sorry. I know you pre-qualified that part.
Oh, those are great tips. Well, is there anything that is super important for our audience to know that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think the takeaway message is, don't be passive about your retirement. Look at your returns, know what you're getting. And if there is a way that you can make more in something that is non-traditional or you could take control of, that's where it's time to have that conversation. Because if your professionals aren't bringing that up to you, it's up to you, like the self-directed part of it, to find out that there is a better way. Don't be that one, that client that is, learns about this at 59 and a half because they're trying to retire and they can't because the market's too volatile and their money is not there. It wasn't as projected, because their message is weather the storm, it'll come back around. And it's like, that's not okay. That's not okay. So hop on a call. I know Steph she has some great information and great ways to be able to get money working for you, where I can show you how to, unlock it for opportunities like that. So I think in the show notes, we'll have some info. If you see me, I look like a talking business card with a QR code. I'm always happy to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's very cute. Good idea. Wonderful, Amanda. Well, for the people that are listening on the podcast, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I have all of my contact information on here, but if you just go to specializedtrustcompany.com, you can reach me that way. 505-514-0587. You can text me on that line. That's my direct dial. And I'm A Holbrook, HOLBROOK at IRASTC.com.
And as always, all of these links will be under show notes. Amanda, thank you so much for stopping by and enlightening us on some self-directed IRA.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Steph.